and I have to go to H Mart. And so I want to kind of do that and get going and have that all done. So we're not going to stay on here for very long today. So we were talking about, however, identifying food and stuff like that. So there's that.
And how we don't want to identify if it's an animal or a vegetable.
Right. And that's so weird because actually I thought I was all by my lonesome self over here. But no, it turns out that Pepper is weird just like me. And Pepper's husband is weird just like me as well. Yeah. Whereas my wife, on the other hand, is like, no, I'm good. Oh, yes, probably. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how you do that.
I don't like honestly, I seriously think that it's like something about like I think it had to have been from my childhood. Because I got really freaked out. Like, I was, like, really freaked out when I went over to one of my friend's house, like, my very first friend, best friend when I was a kid. And his grandmother had cooked a whole pig.
Right.
And it was actually a female pig that had piglets in it. And they, like, took the piglets out and they ate them.
Oh, see, that's horrifying.
And I was, like, freaked out. Like, I wouldn't eat like pork or ham or anything for like weeks.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, like I just couldn't. And then I raised a chicken at one point, and I asked where my hen had gone, and my dad had told me that she died because 2 roosters cut off her head.
See,
and we had chicken that night.
You were at least in a farming community. I've got absolutely zero excuse. I was fine up until like my 20s. Something happened in my 20s because before my 20s, I'd eat chicken legs and stuff like that. I didn't care. But after something happened, and I don't even know. I don't know what it was. I have no excuse at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to do like somehow. You got email.
No, actually, I just saved a screenshot because I'm going to make a new background that wraps around our little pictures.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
I just realized that if I took a screenshot of this, I'd have the boxes in their exact locations. So then I can make a little, like, because right now we've got like we've got Dr. Sheridan's like hips and Captain Chang's hips, and that's what we've got at the bottom, and like the top of Chang's head, and like part of the truck.
Yeah,
I'm like, I can come up with a better background for this that fits better when it's just you and me.
Right.
So I'm going to do that. So I took a screenshot, and it just did we saved your screenshot to your OneDrive. Thanks.
Yeah.
You didn't have to actually make me have to defend this on air or anything like that.
It's all right. I mean, this week, I guess I'll just jump right into it. So this week, I had fully planned on getting some more work done on my personal work because I was thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe I can get some done. I only had 2 cards assigned for me, blah, blah, blah. No, Monday changed very quickly for me, so now I'm in the middle of trying to get artwork done for a Kickstarter. So all of my personal work has been set aside. However, a lot of stuff happening this week, forefront for my adoption process and all that other stuff. So I've had a busy week, and I de-stressed, and I decided to pan some paints.
Nice.
I had.
Can I eat that?
No, you cannot.
Oh, okay.
I know that the yellow may turn some of your intestines a little bit of yellow color, but the red one for sure will probably send you to the hospital.
Oh.
So and that's just the pigment powders. I just want to say my binder is actually edible. I just want to say it's just nothing but pure sugar, and
that works
in a type of resin gum. Like but the resin gum is actually used for food preparation. Like
so technically, everything but the dye is actually edible.
The pigmentations are the only thing that are not edible, and that is what's dangerous about paint. And that's why I had a squirrel attack some of my paint that was drying outside and peed on 4 of the pans.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Yeah, yeah, it was wonderful.
You're like,
Wonderful.
what's this extra ingredient? It's wonderful. Oh, that'd be squirrel urine.
Squirrel urine, yes. I did clean them all up. I do not have squirrel urine in any of my paints that I
Nope,
have
you lost
given or
your
sold to
hands.
people. Um, yeah, but no, it's yeah, a lot of stuff going on this week. So, but other than that, yeah, this process is working for other people. It's been interesting trying to get back into the swing of working for someone when you're an illustrator or just basically just making images. So
I get that. I'm just writing down our thing so that I can start writing it down when we get to that point. So
yeah,
your goal for one page didn't make it.
no, did not.
You know. Do you want to extend that goal to next week and just see if you can get one page through?
I'm gonna have to.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, so really, I feel like the reason we do this is not necessarily to say you're a bad person whenever you don't, but rather so that these things don't just drift into the nothingness and the vacuum, and then 6 years from now go, oh, I was working on a comic. You know what I mean? I think that's
Yeah.
really what we're after here.
Yeah.
I managed only one night of 1,500 words, which worked, which was really nice. I've got my kids settled in, and then I don't know what happened, but Facebook exploded, and it got to some kind of crescendo, and I ended up having to, oh, hey, Fred, good to see you. I ended up having to swear off of Facebook. So
I did see your post on that, man.
yeah, I had to, it got to the point where I was literally like reading posts and then going, why do I bother doing anything anymore? I mean, obviously the world's coming to an end, so why am I working? Why didn't I just build a machine gun nest on my roof and man it? You know what I mean? And I had that feeling, and I'm like, okay, I think I am cuckoo. So
I don't think
Facebook.
I don't think you're cuckoo. I mean, honestly, I will be realistic. Being stuck at home, being around the same people all the time, I definitely understand The Shining now.
Yes. I'm noticing that too. I'm like, I mean, like the only people I have given a hug to in the last 8 months are my wife and my child, and that's it. And I'm like, this is the same humans over and over and over. It's really tough if you're an extrovert who hugs everybody. This is really
it's just it's super like I went last night. We went into the city. We sat down at a restaurant. But like it's Denver. So there's like a different set of rules than where I live currently in Lakewood. They're not too different, but you know, it's still like it's like I'm walking across the street and I'm wearing a mask and everyone's like and I guess they're not really charging people anymore, or they're not really checking for people to have masks anymore. So I mean, I guess that's a good thing. If you don't want to wear a mask. But like we were just down there and it felt weird, but at the same time like very normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'm getting used to this now. This is like getting to become like an active. This is what life is going to be like until whenever they decide to stop having us do this. So it's
I hear that Oxford University has come up with a pretty workable vaccine. So
I mean, if they have it, great.
But that actually really wasn't. It was all of this right left crap. But I think that you're right that it's probably exacerbated by the fact that we've been stuck at home and we've been isolated. And I think especially people like me who are extroverts and used to just being with everybody all the time, this is getting, I think it's finally starting to wear me down. So I had sort of like a minor breakdown over the week. and I sort of, I mean, not a big one, but I mean, any disturbance in the force, and I can't write.
Yeah.
I mean, it only takes.
Yeah.
I have to banish my child to bed just so that I can sit here for like 15 minutes and stare at the screen until I could start hearing my characters. So any shakeup and being and having Facebook just shake me up so bad, I was like, that's it. I'm done with Facebook. So I don't know if I'll come back. I've installed Messenger, the Messenger app, onto my computer.
Yeah.
So I can still read DMs, but I'm not going to the page. I'm actually forcing myself to not go to the Facebook page, because I know if I do, I'll click on the little icon that has all the numbers up there of how many messages are waiting. And I know if I do, it's like this rabbit hole.
Yeah, no, I took, so my tablet no longer has Facebook on it. So the only thing that has Facebook is my laptop, and which I can access through the internet, the app, and then the my phone. And I was actually debating last night whether or not to take it off my phone completely and just leave the Messenger app, because like if you have a page, they now have like a Pages app, which all deals with your page, and it's like, okay, no, I just need one app. Please don't give me more. So I had to remove that one.
I'd been wondering if there was a way to get out there and work on my pages, because of course I can't maintain my pages.
Right. Now, like on your phone, if you have a laptop or a phone, you can probably download it. I think it's called Facebook Pages. It's links directly to your specific pages that you have through that you're an admin to. So the only thing that you see is what
Here
your
I am
page
going
is
over to the
attached to.
store to see if they've got Pages app for Windows.
I mean, try it. Like, I don't think it's bad. I think it's
I think it's great. That's exactly what I was hoping for, because I can't talk to, like, I have commission on my table that they've been communicating through the GS Davis page. And I of course, since I've sworn off of Facebook.
Well, I know Facebook, if you have Messenger on your phone, you still should be able to do that.
Pages Manager for Facebook. It's right here for information overflow.
So they also give you statistics about your page too.
Oh, that's useful.
Yeah.
I'll get that.
Yeah. Like, but it got to a point where it was a lot. It was a lot too much.
Well, and we've been we're still trying to get Quack running, and that's not working.
Well, we were supposed to have 3 people on that team.
Now we have 2.
Yeah.
One person's decided to jump ship already.
Well, he jumped ship.
Good morning, Donald. It's good to see you. We're doing our check-in.
Yeah. He jumped ship. I want to say he had been debating about that before the shows even began.
Oh, yeah.
So, I just want to reiterate,
once the real world
with
back to moving again, we'll start doing Quack stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that there are some things that need to be done with it. And, like, first of all, I promised to draw a Mallard, and I have yet to do it. So,
Brian drew me a duck. So we have a duck.
Okay.
So,
cool.
I'm like, good heavens. It didn't even get started. Is my Google Drive still running? So I've had a rough week. I bought a dock, where I could plug in my hard drives so I could transfer everything off of my old hard drives. And this is something that I don't know if your husband knows any programs, but I could put this in his ear too on this one. But the dock apparently corrupted both drives and stripped them of their NTFS headers. So now they're all in RAW format. So if you plug the hard drives into the computer, it just wants to do the or format the drives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bill, do you have any advice on that?
I ran check disk, and what it says is it's unable to read the primary NTFS header or the secondary NTFS header, so it shuts down check disk. That's where I get with check disk.
Did you hear that now?
No.
I don't know.
I'm trying to see if he knows. He has some drives that are not registering, like they basically are not reading properly. Is it the NTSF?
NTFS headers are gone.
There's probably some repair software out there.
Yeah, I'm going to need some kind of duplication software that doesn't mind the fact there's no NTFS header. I don't know if there's anything out there that's open source or something like that that could be helpful.
I'm sure there is. I mean, nothing off the top of my head, but I'm sure.
Okay. If you come across it, they're just parked over there. And they're going to stay that way until I can figure this, because it'll cost $200 a piece for me to get the local computer place to recover the data. So I don't have $400, so they're just going to sit over there on a shelf until we get it. Anyway, luckily, most of the data that's on those hard drives, I had managed to put on my Google Drive and my OneDrive. So it's... And Brent's been looking, he says. Hey, Pepper. Hey, Guy, he says.
Hello.
Brent's out there.
I have this chat, and it keeps saying chat is loading, but on my screen, I still can't see anyone chatting.
I can put that there.
Oh, hey, Brent.
And then he puts this, which is cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we also have Donald, who says good morning, and we got Fred, who says good morning.
Cool.
So there's that. So theoretically, we have Fred, Donald, and Brent on here. Probably more. I know that I get lurkers from time to time.
Every
single time just so you guys know, we're going to try to do a short show today. Pepper's got to get back to work and drawing, and I've got to get to H Mart. That's important, man. H Mart's awesome.
I haven't been to an H Mart here, so I don't know what I'm missing yet.
Oh, yeah. I guess it depends. Yeah, Donald says he's having a rough week, too, but he'll get through it. I'm sorry, Donald.
I think it's been rough on everyone, Donald.
The week's been rough on everyone. I'm going to continue my plan for 1,500 words a night. I actually had an idea, and I'm going to try to implement this. I've been thinking about doing little vignettes so that I can just go on ahead and start drawing.
Okay.
So, just little, it's Captain Chang and Tum, who are two of the characters, and they're talking about groceries or something. Just something to help kind of get the voice of my characters, but also get into the habit of drawing them, and get into the habit of putting them together, because it's going to be a little while longer before I'm ready to go for this. And I'm having a hard time with episode 1. Episodes 2 through 29 are fine, but episode 1 is the one that's killing me, because I'm having a hard time getting an introduction into the characters. I'm having a hard time. I know what they will do once they're all aboard the Enterprise, so to speak, and they're all at their stations and yada, yada, yada. But I'm having a hard time with assembling the characters and getting them in the same place at the same time. So I was thinking about doing these vignettes, which will, get people interested in the story, because there already be these in-world vignettes. This week I started building, Donald's saying it's the first impression, and he's right. I also started building the city today that's on the Polaris.
Mhm.
The Polaris is a jump ship, and the way that it works in story is it jumps many, many light years out and then sits there for 5 or 10 years while the ships police the area and do stuff and do all of their bits and pieces. But because of that, the Polaris sits, it looks like a flower, and the top of the flower is a city, and there's a little teeny city up there that people live in, and it's got, restaurants and, the whole thing you need to live and exist for these crews of these ships that are on the dock. So I started putting together the drawings of the cities and rendering them in DAZ 3D so that I can show what backgrounds will look like in there. So I'm doing that. So I think I can do 1,500 words now that I'm off of Facebook. I can do 1,500.
The question I have for you is: are you on Instagram still?
Am I on what?
Are you on Instagram still?
Yes, but unlike Facebook, I have specifically cultivated Instagram to be only artists that are posting art. So the only people on my Instagram are artists, models, cosplayers, people who generally, and if you start posting politics, I actually will unfollow you. So my Instagram is totally cultivated to be, because that's what I originally decided to do with Instagram, was have it be my cool down.
Yeah.
When I got really frustrated with Facebook, I'd go to Instagram just to look at a bunch of pretty pictures. And I belong to the Macrossgram, which is Instagram. That's this guy who just goes through the web and finds pictures from Macross and throws them on there. So, I get a whole bunch of airplanes, Valkyries, variable mechs, and stuff like that from him. And that's all I get from him. There's no politics involved on his page. So,
yeah. Unfortunately, I get the people that want to sit there. I had this happen like a few times already where I'm on Instagram and someone likes my pictures. I'm like, oh, okay, and then they start following me. Well, I'm always curious on who's following me, so I'll before I follow back, I look at the profile to actually examine it. Kind of do something similar, blah blah blah. I've had a few of these where I look at them and I'm like, hold on a sec. I've been looking at this artist's work my entire time on Facebook, on Instagram. You're not them. And then I go to the actual artist and I go, hey, have you given permission for this? And all of a sudden it's like they make a post and they go, hey, another person stole my art. And it's like, wow. And apparently I've been noticing a lot of people in my feed doing it because it's getting Instagram. The dark side of Instagram is people are now stealing from Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to down what you were saying. Normally I do cool down. Before bed, Instagram is good for me not to think.
Right.
And get out of my head and just look at images, or basically go on Instagram TV and I'm sitting there and I'm just basically trying to pace my brain down. So I'm looking at them doing wood turning videos and acrylic pours and other ASMR stuff.
Yeah, I know that it's part of the process as artists that if you follow me, I follow you back. But I'm actually not doing that. I'm being extremely I follow you because you usually just post, look at the new paints I did. And that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. I will sit there and look at your paints all day long. That's pretty colors. And like I said, I keep wanting to eat it, but that won't help me any.
Yeah.
It won't go well.
I'm not going to lie. There are times where I have to let certain people go. I have a... Brent, don't you know they're trying to ban TikTok now?
Yeah. Donald says he loves BattleTech and Macross. I am just
Yeah.
a major BattleTech and Macross fan.
You know what? The thing is before I got into Sailor Moon, I actually watched Macross and I watched BattleTech as well. And my grandparents, they were like, I don't mind you watching cartoons, but these are too violent. We're not recording them for you anymore. And I was like,
Yeah, I could see that.
okay.
My
And then
grandparents had no idea what the hell I was getting into.
yeah, and then I started watching Sailor Moon and I watched Pokemon and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it was suitable for my young cousin who I would babysit later on in my teen years, that it was suitable for him to watch, so they were fine with that. But if I threw like Dragon Ball Z on or just Dragon Ball in general, that was not okay when he was young, but but Macross and stuff, and even Gundam. Like, no, nothing too violent, nothing like that. But I mean,
I just started showing my son Evangelion. We just started Ava.
Yeah, but Ava is a little bit different. When I had to sit down and I explained to my grandmother what it's based in and based off of, at least the lore part.
Yeah,
because all the lore is based off of Christian mythology.
It is.
And
Very Christian mythology.
Yeah, and when I basically stated that, she's like, how is that? And I was like, well, they fight things called angels, Grandma. And she's like, what? And I was like, well, angels come down in the sky from the sky. They come from the heavens, and they can only be defeated by, they're trying to wipe out humanity. That's their job, because humanity has fallen on Earth. And my grandmother's like, so you're saying the angels that are supposed to watch over us are attacking us in this? And I'm like, this is not a hard concept. But at the
since all the angels have names, and if you look them up, all the angels are the fallen angels.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, they're all the angels that in Christian mythology, they all fell.
Yeah.
So each one of them is like seraphim and all of the various angels who'd fallen. Like,
well, and then
like the last angel is Michael.
Yeah, and then you also have when like they expose the very first angel that never truly died.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically was like, here's Lilith, and that was her name, was Lilith, and you see a bunch of like figures coming off of her that have like Ray's face.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, and like my grandmother stopped watching it with me.
But there are other things that are embedded in there. I was just explaining this to Kai. Ray, that's actually kind of an important thing. In Japanese, her name is never spelled in kanji. It's always spelled in katakana, which leads you to believe what is the kanji they use for her name. And the kanji, I think, they were headed for, Rei means to bow, obedience.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, they will say, Chiritsu, Rei, and you're supposed to stand up and bow at the beginning of every class.
Mm-hmm.
And the command for bow is Rei.
Yeah.
And so, that fits her character a lot.
In the beginning.
Yeah, well,
in the beginning it does.
That fits even the full arc of her character, because the intention to begin with her was that.
Yeah.
Bye, Brent.
Bye, Brent.
See you next week.
Yeah.
So we won't be going much longer than this anyway. We've gotten into Evangelion.
Yeah.
So
I think since we've segued into another subject, it's probably safe to say I think we're both like,
we've got our goals.
We both got our goals. We both got everything. So
stuck them into the monitor. We're good. So, that's fine.
I do have to mention that next week, just to give you some updates, we actually have visits for the adoption. So our home study process is starting.
Cool.
So it's I don't know if I will be able to accomplish it, accomplish anything, but I will try my best.
Like I said, the whole real point of this is just not to whip you whenever you do it wrong, but more to just make sure we don't run out of, we don't forget.
Maybe I like it. I'm from Florida.
Yeah. I was just realizing
that's a joke, people.
All the
that's
stuff that they go through for you to adopt a kid, I wish they'd gone through with us whenever we had our kid.
You know
what I mean?
I hear it a lot. Like, I hear a lot of people like say the same thing, and there are like legal reasons now. Like, I mean, there's a post on Facebook that kind of illustrates and demonstrates the reason why they actually do what they do. And I've talked to Christina Badhand a minute about this. But what it is they used to have adoption kind of pretty open. If you wanted a kid, you could just pay for them. And unfortunately, you have a bunch of people who took advantage of this.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I know that absolutely makes sense. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with what's going on your side. I'm saying that the fact that they didn't do it on my side, it's a problem.
Right. But at the same time, the whole process I'm going through, it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter your gender, it does not matter your sexual orientation, doesn't matter anything.
Which is
anything
good.
At all. It just means that you're going through a process, that you're trying to have a kid, and you can't do it normally. And by normal, I mean have one person carry and the other person impregnant biologically.
I prefer biologically over normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I have some terminology that I need to start using more often. It's like they actually have us read, like, one of the articles that we had to read recently was terminology, positive reinforced terminology that you have to learn. And one of the things is like the connotations of biological mother, or saying biological mother is kind of like a negative. You want to say to your child like your birth mother, or your birth family. You don't want to give them like this thing that like a complex, I guess, about it.
Okay.
But like then at the same time they tell you don't say my adopted child, say child.
Right.
And it's like, wait a second, that kind of counteracts what you did before.
It's like what's his name said in Guardians of the Galaxy. He may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's trying to reinforce like your parent is not necessarily always biological. And
in this household, like I am my child's biological father and daddy. But he's got a number of uncles who are not remotely related to him, and a number of aunts who are not remotely related to him.
I have a few friends.
Family.
I have a few friends that are expecting to be called aunt and uncle and all of that jazz. Like, no joke. I've already told them, if that's what you want, that's great. I'm not going to stop my kid from saying aunt and uncle for you. I'm just going to make sure that they know. I'm going to tell them to treat you like actual blood family. So they screw up, they know they're going to be punished by you.
Yeah, I mean, Donald's putting in here that back in the day they treated kids pretty badly.
Yeah, they did. And
he had 4 uncles. So he says that, and they all went to foster homes and orphanages and things like that. And yeah, I mean, I'm not, there is no complaint at all about the procedure you're going through. Yeah. I am complaining about the fact that I didn't go through that procedure. Well, it would have been nice if, when we found out we were pregnant, that somebody went and looked through the house to make sure that there was going to be a good home for my child. I mean, I feel like I have done a great job as a dad.
Yeah.
However, there's no validation of it. There's nobody who would say, no, your house is fine.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like we have a pre-checklist for every single one of our meetings that we have to do. And like, and part of like we were talking about it, I was like, I already have to start baby proofing things.
Yep.
I don't even have a kid yet, and I have to baby proof things. Like
Yep.
I have to make sure that they're safe before the child even comes. And I was like, and we're trying to get a baby, so the baby's not going to be very mobile. Like when we get them initially, anyway, and then we're not going to be in this location for much longer after. Yeah. Yeah, no, that is exactly right. Like, I don't. There's no part of this process that has not had a single, like, at a single point. Like, there's always a parenting tip. Every single point of the way, like
We
this.
got none of that because
Yeah,
we the biological way.
yeah, and
So
then
no help.
well, and like for my family, they always like if you didn't turn to your elders for help or advice, you turn to the pregnancy books.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not knocking pregnancy books, but in this situation with me and my husband, we actually have like almost no pregnancy books whatsoever in the process that we're going through.
Right. Well, and you guys aren't going to be going through all of the normal stages that we went through. You don't have to worry about, labor pains, and you don't have to worry about all of that weirdness that you have to go through when you have the biological process.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to skip all of that. So a lot of those pregnancy books, because I had those, were all about, okay, it's the 4th month. Your wife is going to want to throttle you now. That kind of stuff. As her hormones change, everything starts switching in her body and yada, yada, yada. Well, you're not going to need any of that crap. That's not important to either one of you.
Yeah. I mean, and as
maybe proof your home because your child will find the one knife somehow and stick it in an outlet. They will find that one butter knife and stick it into the outlet. They will do that.
Oh no, I know. My husband put a fork in one. Oh, sorry. My husband put pennies in one.
Yep.
And I, being from a construction family, found electrical wire and put it in one of mine. So, no, honestly, Donald, that's actually not going to be an argument. I know how to change diapers already.
Yep. I mean, it's like that actually was funny because I didn't have a problem with diapers. I did say one thing though. Once my kid was done with diapers, I said, that's it. I'm not doing this with anybody else's kid. And laid that out. I was totally willing because I was the stay-at-home dad most of the time. I had a job that worked from here, so I could put my kid in the crib over there and work from right here, and we didn't have a problem. Because I was the stay-at-home dad, so I changed the majority of the diapers. That was mostly what I did. And that was fine. I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I think we're going to probably run into a few problems as well as parents do as they get older. Because me and my husband, as much as we are alike in a lot of ways, we are very not similar in others. Especially
like any couple.
Yeah. And
my wife and I are the same way.
Yeah, like it's like how we just need to make sure that punishments and like rules and stuff are on the same page with us.
That's the tough one. Yeah, my wife and I differ on that, and that became a stress point.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad. Like if you're alone with your child, I expect you to have I expect my husband to have certain rules when he's alone with them, and I have my rules when I'm alone with them. But usually what my rules are going to be the house rules when my husband comes home and he's interacting with the kid at the same time, so he can't apply his personal rules when I'm around type deal. Because if I'm going to be primary caregiver, so the thing is you can't undermine mine because I'm around the kid the most.
Well, and that actually was something I highly recommend you discuss between the two of you what your discipline skills are or stats. I was the disciplinarian, and Mom was not the disciplinarian. And what ended up happening was by the time my kid was 10, he had gotten to the point where he realized that he hid stuff from dad and asked mom to do all the things and managed to get it to the point where mom was automatically doing stuff for him all the time because I would yell at him for it and say, go do it yourself, So he wouldn't ask me to fix him dinner. He'd go ask mom to fix him dinner and stuff like that. And since I was the one that was constantly saying, no, you got to learn to do this for yourself, he stopped asking me. And I thought he was doing fine until I found out that he would wait until I was out of the room to go, Mom, make me dinner. And then mom would make him dinner. And so we had to get on board with that. Because for me, this is learning how the world works. So he needs to fall on his face here where it's safe instead of falling on his face when he's 25 where it's not safe and he ruined his career or whatever.
And he moves back in with you.
Yeah, exactly. And then my wife's opinion was, no, don't let him fall because he might get hurt. And we didn't have the same, we weren't on the same page. And we ended up having to go to a family therapist before we got that squared away. So be aware of that.
Well, we already, part of the adoption process, and I don't know if a lot of people realize this, they have you sign a no spanking clause.
That's actually,
I'm not joking.
I'm laughing because we talked about spanking prior to my son being born, and we both agreed that it was useless and didn't work. But I'm from the South, just like you. And I got spanked, and so
my husband's from the South too. So
right, and so it's like but my wife is a Californian hippie. I mean, straight down all the switches to Californian hippie. She wasn't spanked.
Yeah,
I was, and so I was like, you know what? I didn't like being spanked. I'm totally cool with the idea of not spanking, but I want an alternate punishment. What are we going to do? And we agreed on punishing him by putting him in his room and taking away privileges, and then she didn't follow through.
Yeah, and so if you are just tuning in, this is Parenting Hour with Guy Davis. And
apparently this is Parenting Hour. Who knew? Well, I mean, because I can give you advice on how to change diapers, but that's not the thing that I ran into. We were good there.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't realize this one, which was if you agree to it and a disciplinary function, and then one of your pair doesn't do it.
I don't think we have a problem with discipline. It's going to be a problem with how we interact, an expectation of how we interact with them one-on-one versus and I didn't mean to crack on my husband. My rules are probably going to be the house rules because I'm mainly with them all the time. We are expecting to work together on developing those house rules, and I'm probably going to be more aligned with the house rules than with his personal rules that he does. If my husband sits there and tells me, hey, I'm going to take, the kid to do something with me today, and they're not going to school or anything like that, and I look at them and go, and I look at him and I go, is it your idea or theirs?
Right.
And if it's theirs, I'm going to go, well, I'm in charge of the schooling aspects, and they have a test.
Right.
So,
and what you'll end up with is hybrid rules. All work must come before play. That is an absolute rule in this household. Biggest problem is when you don't communicate that there's work to be done.
Right.
What happens here? I will know that my kid has homework. My wife does not know that my kid has homework. He will not tell her that he has work. And then he'll go out and play. She will have given him permission to. Then she finds out that he's got work, and then she won't punish him for it.
Yeah.
Because, of course, that's effectively lying by omission. So what ends up happening is I punish him for it. We end up with, again, dad's mean, mom loves me. And we've had that problem until we had to actually, like I said, we had to go to therapy to get this squared away.
Yeah.
Because it took some effort to get this squared away because we thought we were on the same page at the very beginning of this. I was willing to spank the kid, but didn't really want to. So I was totally on board with her theory. And she was a Montessori teacher. So, she had already gone through not just, I believe the spanking is bad, but she actually had PhD dissertations backing her up on this one. So I was like, okay, I'm good with that. I'm like, you're not just coming in saying, I believe that spanking's bad. You're coming in with papers and dissertations saying that it doesn't work. So, I was totally okay with this. That wasn't our problem. Our problem was she didn't want to be the disciplinarian. She wanted to be the friend of the kid.
Yeah, that's the thing is I think both me and Bill are kind of on the same page. We are parents first. We are not your friend. We are not your friend until you probably become, a person that is asking more for a friendship. Right. As part of being a parent.
Well, and I look at it as this way. I have to make a functioning human. Mm-hmm. That's my job. I signed up to make a functioning human. My human must go out there into the real world and not suffer. It's my job as a parent to make it so that he won't be suffering when he's 20 or 30 or 40. It's easy to teach them how to feed themselves. It's easy to teach them how to read a book. What's hard is teaching them you don't tell your friends that you hate them and then expect your friends to be friends with you the next day. You know what I mean? You don't
and then expect
them to be friends with you the next day. It's not going to work.
And that's like the one thing that I never actually understood about my sisters. Because I have 5 sisters and 5
one.
And I just want to throw this out there, like they have some friends that they would sit there and go, I don't like you, I hate you, blah 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 blah, and they wouldn't talk for like 2 or 3 days. And then I would see them again and everything was okay. But like if I ever asked if they still like felt that way, like I got, oh, we forgave each other. Like, but not in a way where it actually meant we forgave one another. It's like
I wasn't really talking about that in specifics. There are other things that are big
but
things.
You have a boy, which is a little bit different. Like boys are very literal when they're younger. So, but anyway,
in the case, the thing that we are working on right now the most is if you don't maintain your friendships, you don't keep your friendships. We're in coronavirus land. Everybody's bolted down. The only way he's keeping in touch with his buddies is through Zoom meetings. But he doesn't maintain it. He doesn't use his email. He doesn't contact them. And then he wonders why his friends are drifting away. And I'm like, well, here's your life lesson. If you don't maintain your friends, you won't keep your friends. And
I think that
doing but it's their fault for blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you need to be doing this job. If you want friends, you got to do it. That's the stuff that parents have to teach. That's hard. The real thing that is very hard for parents to teach, so hard that I think a lot of people don't, is empathy. I don't think we by default get empathy. You have to teach it. Some people get empathy by random chance because of just the series of events that occur in their childhood.
Yeah.
But if you have a
I can attest to that.
It moves all of the troubles out of your way, then you grow up without empathy.
Yeah.
And you have to be taught to think of your friends.
I mean, I do like
call them because I didn't want to call them. Okay, what did they want? I don't know. I don't care. Well, okay. But if you don't think about what they're thinking, that's the hardest thing. And I think we have a lot of people in our culture right now that don't have empathy. And that's part of what's going on is they were raised by people who didn't teach them empathy. And now why should I do that? I don't it doesn't bother me. Well, it bothers 50 people.
Yeah.
You know,
But also at the same time, I want to reiterate something like both me and my husband
that's a
have
good
this
point,
issue.
Donald.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good and bad, yeah. So me and my husband, we do actually try to reach out. We do try to call, and
Oh, yeah.
we try to maintain friendships as best as possible. Like, I mean, I'm not
Not
saying
worried
that
about you
I'm
guys.
perfect by any means. Like, if we weren't doing this show, Guy, I probably would go 2 or 3 weeks without talking to you.
That's true. But
You know,
but
you
we're
know,
also adults, and at this point in time in our lives, if you didn't talk to me for 2 months, we'd get back on and it'd be just like it was yesterday.
yeah.
Because now 2 months for an adult is nothing.
Yeah, like
For 2
it's
months
really
for a
not.
kid, and
Yeah,
they
oh,
are
that's
gone.
horrible. Yeah, you're gone. Yeah, it's
Who
just,
are you?
but
What's
at the
your
same
name?
time, even at the same time though, like I'm an adult and I still have some friends. Like if I don't talk to them, or if they feel like they have kept calling and talking to me all the time, all of a sudden I'm the bad friend for having them call and talk to me, and it's like, wait a second, I have a life too, and
Some people are
I
high
think,
maintenance.
yeah, and I've actually gone through it with some of my siblings too, where they're like, "Rah, rah, rah." But that's neither here nor there.
And that's off the topic. I've got a buddy who I became. He was my best friend in 4th grade. I talk to him on an average about once every other year now. But when we do, we're exactly the same as we were before. We talk for a while. I ask him how his family is. He asks how my family is. We talk about cars for a while because that's sort of where we connected really in high school. He has a shop in Colorado Springs where he works on Jeeps, and that's what he does for a living. And he's happy. And he's a loner. He doesn't like to be pestered. So I pester him once every other year, whether he likes it or not. And that's the way it goes.
Yeah, no, but here's the deal. I was raised by 2 loners.
Yeah.
Like my grandmother was, my mom's mother was very social. My grandparents on my dad's side, extremely social. Both of them, both sets of grandparents are social. So I did remember and I retained some of the social skills aspects of it. But you have to remember, my parents, like my mom did her own thing all the time. She was definitely a loner in high school. She described herself as a loner. My dad was definitely a lone wolf as well. Like, he was a loner. He did his thing. He didn't, as he grew up, from what I remember being told as a kid and even as a young adult, like I was told my entire life, basically, both my parents have loner tendencies. So the fact that I have loner tendencies is remarkable. But at the same time, like when I click with people, it's very like fun.
Right.
Because it's like, I don't feel like I need to be alone when I'm around them. And it's like, I know who supports me. I know who's like going to be like more of a friend. And I know there are certain peoples after this adoption process is over that if COVID-19 basically is lifted and I can, meet up with them after having the child in my home, then guess what? I'm going to be making rounds with a bunch of people here in Colorado because,
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen them in a while, so.
I'm having that. I'm feeling that one a lot. Raph and I are very much the same kind of people. We're gregarious, outgoing. We love everybody and stuff like that. And so I've been worried about both Raph and me in this lockdown universe that we are in. This is the worst possible universe for. I mean, the lone wolves, like you and my wife, are very similar. You're both like, hey, this is kind of nice.
It is. But then there's certain points where even the wolves, like, they don't like being alone all the time. And
all the time. But for me, I was starting to suffer like 2 weeks in. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out. It's like,
sorry, I have to laugh because, like, in my mind, I'm picturing you, like, at the front door, like, and then there's like a sign that your wife wrote: "Don't let the husband out of the house."
Right?
He will
No
try
matter
to
how
trick
much
you.
he whimpers, he's lying. Whatever he says, he's lying.
It's just
like that
hilarious
cat,
in my mind.
that cat meme. I was that cat meme. No matter what the cat says, she's been fed. She's lying to you.
No matter what the cat says, she's not allowed outside. Don't let her trick you.
Right? I was that cat. I've gotten in equilibrium. A lot of the way that I've gotten in equilibrium is by doing things like this, where I get to see you and we're together at least for 1 hour, and at least that means something. There's some other human out there that really we can, and we're both artists, we both have jobs to do, we both are in the same field, yada, yada, yada. It all works.
Yeah.
And so that's helped a whole lot.
Yeah. I need to start jumping into some of the group chats.
Susu commercials.
Like a virtual
he loves
group
everyone
chat.
and very social, so it's hard for him to do that too. I like my morning. That's why I like my morning broadcasts, because I'm able to connect. Donald's there and Brent is there sometimes, and I get Fred there, and we connect, and I get to talk to them for just a little while.
You should bring your regulars on the show one day. Just ask them if they would want to go on one show.
Right? And all of us just be here.
Yeah.
Talk. Like interview my regulars, because they're always there, and it's so good because it's there. It's a touch. We get to touch for just a moment. Other humans are there. I mean, I love the fact that I've spent this entire time. I've been able to spend more time with my family than I have been able to manage to do in the previous 10 years of my child's life, because there's always crazy. There's always something weird going on. And it's been good in that everything's been pretty mild, and, there hasn't been, even though I love my convention circuit, with the convention circuit not being here means that I'm not in the hectic cycle of prepping for conventions.
Yeah.
It's been really nice.
By the way, when do you guys suppose NDK is going to happen again?
We canceled. We canceled 2 weeks ago.
Well, until next year, or
until 2021, yeah. We're out until 2021. We should be fine for 2021. I have faith in us that we will have figured out either how to live properly in this situation. It's okay, Donald. I promise you I won't bring you onto the show if you're naked. It's all good.
No. I Donald, he has to remind me to make sure I wear clothes.
Right?
So
don't be naked, Pepper. It's not that kind of show. Anyway.
Well, and that's one thing that I have to look forward to as if I have one of those kids that likes just stripping down naked. Oh, God.
My wife being a Californian hippie, that is actually something that happens a lot in this household. And I think it's been very healthy. I got raised with Southern morals that this is not so good and yada, yada, yada. And the truth of the matter is, it is really nice that my child does not have body shame issues. So
it's not that I'm talking about body shaming.
No, but I mean,
just,
seen actively that my wife has zero shame as far as body shaming goes.
It's just like when I was a kid, I was the kid that would take off his clothes immediately after getting home from school.
Yep.
There's actually a picture of me, like, here's my sister in the frame. And they thought I was out of frame, but I'm all the way over here. And you just see the front part of my body. And clearly, I am naked. And my sister is just making the face of...
Right. That makes it even funnier. But like I said, this makes me happier as far as this goes. I think, first of all, as an artist, I find that our body shame stuff is stupid. Right? Create a karaoke convention.
No, we just need to have a rampant, like, furry convention circuit, like just one furry convention after another, where everyone's dressed up as a furry and no one sees real bodies, and then that's what we need to do.
He's just saying he usually doesn't get ready for the meetings. I noticed that it cuts off the bottom part of that, so I just expressed the rest of that. Yeah, he says he usually doesn't. I know he doesn't mean. I knew you meant that you weren't naked all the time, Donald. I was just humored by the idea and the concept.
So, anyways, it is 11 o'clock.
One of my big pet peeves as far as an artist goes, which means that people should probably be forewarned. There will probably be perfectly non-sexual nudity in Bellatrix Rising, because so he just asked an interesting question. Do we ever draw overweight people in our drawings?
I actually have.
And I don't, and the only reason I don't is because they're all military.
Okay.
And the military keeps you in really good shape or else kicks you out. So, but if I were to ever draw non-military, then definitely I would consider that. I also think, though, it's part of my hope for the future. Being overweight is not healthy for your body in general. Not saying that you're shamed or anything like that, because I'm overweight. And I know that my body is slowly kind of cranking down because of the fact that I'm overweight. And now that I'm pushing 50, I'm finding it hard to just climb stairs and things like that. My joints don't like me, yada, yada, yada.
My doctor wants me to lose weight. Trust me.
Right. I don't want to lose weight to look good. I want to lose weight so that I can live to 80. My mom was overweight and died at 57. My dad's overweight, and all it does is make his life extra hard.
Yeah, my dad the same way.
People in their 70s who are overweight. I don't know if I want to be overweight when I get to 70. That seems like that's just going to mean that I'm going to be on extra drugs, extra oxygen, extra yada, 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 yada. My life is going to be an extra pain in the butt.
Okay. So here's the deal. Okay, starting Monday, instead of your normal routine, you should shake it up a bit. I'll meet you where you're at. I'll have a face mask on, and we'll just go walking.
That sounds like a plan.
We don't have to be near one another. We can just walk 6 feet apart from one another, even though we're wearing masks.
I actually think that's not a bad idea when it gets a little cooler.
I'll agree to that. I love
because
snow. And
right now we're at
100
100-degree days when I clear out of my show in the morning.
Well, today it's supposed to be not 100, but we have overcast and then I think rainstorms later today.
Yeah.
Predicted.
And Donald's saying a lot of vets are overweight from stress and sometimes injuries.
That I understand. I've met a lot of people who are former military that gain weight just because of the stress.
Thyroid, oxygen, metabolism problems. I totally agree with there are reasons why people become overweight. I personally am overweight because I stress eat.
Yeah, I stress eat too.
And I feel like if I think about the future where people don't have, so people like me wouldn't be overweight in the future because I wouldn't be stress eating because there wouldn't be stress or that wouldn't be an error in my mental processing. Now, people who do have thyroid issues, things like that, they would still be overweight, but then in my perfect future, you'd be able to cure your thyroid issue too. Right? Yeah. It's kind of, but also I feel like if you are overweight, nobody would care. It's the bald thing. It's like what they said whenever they put Patrick Stewart in as captain of TNG. They said, don't you think in the future they would have cured baldness? And Roddenberry's response was, in the future, no one would care.
No, I don't think. I mean, they even made passes at when they brought on characters that were having problems with dominant genders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think Deanna Troi was one of the first people that had the lines that. Basically giving the impression, no, humans did care about that at one point. Yeah. Oh
I'm
yeah.
100% with you. Right
Oh
now,
yeah.
our entire society, every meal that is out there, if you are counting calories, every meal in the US society is 1,000 calories, which means if you eat three meals a day, you are getting 3,000 calories every day.
And a normal human is supposed to have
Two 2,000
to
at tops.
2,500.
Two
20 to
2,000
2,500.
tops. And this is one of those things that I in a perfect society we wouldn't be eating 1,000-calorie meals either.
No.
They'd be
Well,
down to 600 calories a meal, which would mean you could have 3 meals a day and all would be fine. But
that
it's
and
sugar.
yeah, I think we actually have a higher sugar content in our regular everyday items because when they figured out that that sugar could be used in conjunction with preservatives to help things stay longer on the shelves,
And
it like
bought them.
yeah, it's like that like yeah, no, but
I learned this by going to Japan. Everything in Japan is less sweet.
yeah.
And actually, my adopto daughter, which she's not really adopted like yours. She just comes over here and stays with us.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she comes over here all the time and says everything here is so sweet, and it's so many calories and sugar. It's so horrible for you. And so the answer, Donald, is not that I don't draw overweight people because there's a bias. My thought is finally in the future, we won't be selling sugar to people to make, blindly selling them stuff that obviously hurts them, which is what I feel. I feel right now we have a culture where they sell you things that does hurt you and it makes you in pain. And I don't think we'll have a culture like that. So though I would be happy to put an overweight character in because something was wrong with that character to some degree. There's no issue with that. I feel like society in the future would have finally figured out that making us all overweight does nothing more than just kill us prematurely.
Yeah.
And it's putting money before the well-being of people.
Yeah. And
in the future, maybe they can beam out fat cells.
Well, they do.
I'd be all for that.
On Star Trek, they do have the teleporting technology that they use, the beams, and they basically take a sample of your DNA to make sure they can filter out your DNA and reconstitute you. So I remember someone theorizing that when they do that, you're matching the DNA that they have on file.
Right.
And they periodically will take more DNA because your body ages.
Yep.
But it slows the aging process down for those people because they're constantly being disintegrated and reappearing all that time. Now, I do want to say, the fat characters or the overweight characters that I have drawn in the past, I haven't had any recently. Here's the deal. As an artist, and I've had discussions with other artists about this, and this is why you don't see a lot of overweight cartoon characters, a lot of overweight comic book characters, is fat is an obese person or a fat person or however you want to phrase it. It's not exactly body shaming the reason why not. It is they usually are using that body type as some sort of gimmick for the character.
Right.
And it's usually a negative
character,
one.
It will never be played for comedy.
Yeah. And the thing is you have...
And this character became overweight.
Yeah, and then they came out with the superheroine Faith, which is an overweight flying superhero. And a lot of people were commending that, saying that it was great to see an overweight superhero and an overweight woman superhero. That's not a problem. When I've talked to other artists, drawing overweight people is harder. And I'm not meaning that, it's just extra circles, blah, blah, blah. I mean, once you draw a character overweight, you have to now match all of the curves that you give that character.
Yeah.
And if you
You
don't
have to be
have the
familiar
full
with that body
curves, yeah, and if you're not familiar with a lot of different curves to a lot of different body types, it's going to be rather difficult.
Yeah.
Like if I draw an overweight male, the overweight male body that I draw is either going to be one of two, because there's two males in my house that I see that bodies on a regular basis, my own and my husband's. You know, it becomes, and I'm not trying to say that this is a cop out. What I'm about to say is, because it's harder to draw, a lot of people steer away from it.
I also think that when you talk about, like, I look over here at all my art books and all my art books that are up here, they never discuss overweight bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't taught overweight bodies in school, so you'd have to actually go out of your way for it. Which,
You do.
I'm sitting there going, first of all, I have a rubric when I make a character now, which I roll dice, and that generates their personality, their body type, their race, their gender, everything like that, so that I can remove bias. But I have put, because it depends on where you are rendering it, I have a slider for what year and era they're in.
Yeah.
If they're from this era, then the dice percentage is I think it's 61% on the percentile dice, anything 61 and under, and they're overweight if they're an American. And I change that rubric and alter it up. Now, when I put it in Bellatrix Rising's era, in the future, that goes down to 0 to 2%.
Yeah.
Only 2% of the people in Bellatrix Rising universe are overweight. So on my rubric, I have to roll a 1 or a 2 on percentile dice to get overweight people, because it doesn't happen in their world. They've slimmed back down to the point where
they're also space faring.
Good people, right?
They're also in space, and I hate to say it, like, if you're on a ship, you're not going to be eating all the time. You're not going to be able to, because you have a job. You know? Yeah.
So Donald's saying, I thought 1 or 2 in a background or sidekick brings impression that life still has them. And like I said, when I roll up characters, there is a 2% chance. Yeah. But I have on my rubric, I have, depending on what era it is, it's the same thing. If you go back to the 40s on my rubric, it gets back down to 5% again.
Yeah.
It's to the 30s, it gets down to 1% because people were starving.
Yeah.
During the Great Depression. So my rubric for overweight changes depending on what era you're in as to how much of the percentage. But I like to roll on that, because that gives me random race, it gives me random gender based on where, and for example, race right during this time, it would be in America, there's a 60% chance that you'd be white.
Yeah.
But if you're in the world, if I'm rolling on my world rubric, there is a 75% chance you will be Asian.
Yeah.
Because the Chinese tilt our entire population rubric by an insane number. So when I roll to the entire world for a world person, like somebody from just Earth in general from 2000, you end up with a very high chance that you will be Asian. In Bellatrix Rising's universe, the dice roll distributes a little differently, because I've gotten all races have muddled by 500 years from now. We all left the Earth and then just mixed together for 500 years.
Yeah. Basically, you human? Yes, I'm human.
It could be.
You want to propagate? Sure.
Right. And we get all mixed up. The hard parts are things like homosexuality on my rubric keeps changing, because for so long nobody wanted to admit that they were homosexual. You can't tell a good percentage. What is the percentage of the culture that will end up homosexual? So I
think I can agree with you on that one.
Yeah, I've set it for 5%, but I'm hoping that it might be more or it might be less. 5% was the guess.
I don't think in the future we'll have those categories. I think we'll just acknowledge we're sexual beings, and you just won't have those categories.
Yeah, it does. I actually have that also. I think Bill's right. I think when we get to the future, it's just hard to make a relatable story if you could have been married to 27 people at the same time. That's hard to be relatable in modern context. So
I'm
my main character had a husband.
Yeah, no, he's referring to sexual orientation labels.
Right, sexual orientation, like would you be bi or homosexual or heterosexual? I agree. I think we'd end up with a gradient.
Yeah.
Liking men would be akin to liking people with glasses or liking people with dark hair.
You're saying that it's going to be, I think you're probably right. You would find gradients. There won't be people who are 100% heterosexual or homosexual. I think you're right. I think once we get past the mental blocks, I think we're going to find that's more of a gradient. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I have, even though I consider myself 100% heterosexual, there have been men who have fit characteristics. And I think that if I didn't have mental blocks, I might have been able to, get into a relationship with that. I don't know. I mean,
the question is would they get into a relationship with you?
I don't know. That's not really what we were talking about here.
I was joking. Again,
I think we were heading
at it.
Territory. So Fred says current numbers say about 10%, and I think that's probably, I think I set it for 8.5 or something like that. So
I would say 10% is actually probably better. I would say, and I think different areas. You have to understand, in city centers, you'll find a lot of LGBT, including LGBT youth. It's when you get out to like the countryside where you stop seeing it as much.
And the question is that because the people who are LGBT in the countryside are being by culture restricted, so they won't admit it. And that's part of what I'm worried about is that the percentage is the same out there. It's just that they can't say that they are.
And I believe that you are correct on that too. So
yeah, I think that's probably what's happening.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look up what RuPaul does, like when RuPaul is not on TV, you find out that he and his husband are on a ranch.
Right.
And they don't and everyone that they interact with, they don't know that, he's a star, that they don't know he's a drag queen, nothing.
Right. Well, and I think that that's also a lot of things. When you live in the countryside, you don't know about how trains work or buses. I mean, there's a number of things that you don't get because you live in the countryside, but you do know how to run a tractor.
Yep.
So if you're raised in a culture where it's not okay to be LGBT, then you just assume that you're not okay.
Yep.
And you go marry a girl.
Or a boy.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, I mean, I'm just saying that as
no. If it was a girl, like a teen girl, and
a teen girl, will go marry a boy.
Yeah, go marry a boy,
and not know that there was an option, not know that it was okay, and then just be unhappy. Which, I mean, a lot of people, going back to Bill's point, a lot of people marry people and are just unhappy in that relationship because even though that is their gender preference, the person wasn't the right person.
Yeah.
A lot of marriages fall apart because that just wasn't the right person. So, I mean, to Bill's point, that actually could be true either way.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's fine. It's all good. So
that is an interesting
I still think that I think for your background characters and stuff, it would be interesting if you actually did have you did involve one of the races having a natural percentage that would show them overweight, just a little bit more than like not so like if you see an overweight human like on a starship, like they still are within the max range that you have as weight goes for being a soldier or being in the are like the military type thing.
Right.
Devil's advocate, I'd have to wonder if in early space travel, due to the situations you might run into where there'd be a scarcity of food, that perhaps humans would evolve to carry more fat cells on them for situations like that.
That's a good point too. Although so what you're saying is like I have the culture of the Deistati, which is a nomad culture in there. They might actually be slightly pudgy.
Yeah.
They've been suffering as they wander through space. They have feasts and famines. And if you're in a feast and famine, they might actually be somewhat pudgy.
Yeah, and I think it was like when I was a kid, we had to read a bunch of different stories. Just to let people know, I had an English class and I had a literature class. Like they were not one
I
and the
wish
same.
I'd had a literature class. I love reading so much.
And a lot of people I found out like later don't have this, so that's why like I read a lot as a child. There was a story that we had to read, and it was about space travel. And one of the things that they said was, the people of the moon are very round and pudgy. They cannot come to Earth without exoskeletons. So, like, these are people who are born and raised on the moon. They describe their faces as round, and their bodies match their face. So, like, I'm not talking like full circle. I'm talking they're just more rounded.
Right.
Like, they have less gravity, so their body tends to be a little bit floaty. Like, basically, there's fat stored on it. And their muscles don't work properly on Earth because of the gravitation, so they have to wear exoskeletons to compensate.
Right.
And they talked about the people of Mars. They too have some issues when they travel to Earth, but they don't have issues when they travel to the moon.
Right.
But people on the Earth actually have problems when they go to the Earth and when they go to the moon and Mars.
And there was somebody had just said, and I've been trying to remember the point that somebody had made. There was a character in some recent either show or movie who was gay. And this person who was doing a analysis of this show was also gay. And they said, the thing I liked the most about this character was he was gay, but his problems didn't spawn from him being gay. He had just normal problems.
Yeah.
It was just, he happened to be gay. And that was a major thing. And I think that if I ever had an overweight person in my story, they'd just be overweight. The problems don't spawn from them being overweight. We don't play them for humor. We don't make any big deal about it. Nobody talks about it. They're just overweight. That just happens. I mean, you'd have the things like we would normally have. You and I, we have discussions about the fact that, okay, Pepper, we got to lose weight, man, because this is not good for us. That's a normal discussion. That's not, you're bad because you're overweight, or I'm bad because I'm overweight, or you don't look good because you're overweight, or any of that stuff. It's just
hey,
we got to be healthy, man. We got to start eating better.
I totally understand. It's like I've been said that I look like I'm being lazy because I'm not. Like, I'm just standing somewhere and I'm just like, I have nothing to do. I did all my tasks and they're like, well, don't be lazy. And I'm like, I'm not. Like, I just don't know what that there's left for me to do.
We are lazy because we're overweight. And that's a cultural thing.
Yeah. Like, I think
that statement about that particular individual made about whoever it was, and I can't remember which character it was that they were talking about. That had an impression upon me.
Yeah.
You don't want to play an attribute for humor or for stress or anything like that. And so when we talk about like my building of characters, I just roll the dice. This person still has the same problems that the plot told this person was going to have. But they might be homosexuals. They might be heterosexual. They might be black. They might be white. They might be male. They might be female. That plays no part in the fact that they were this character is designed to be the Chekhov's gun of the system or whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't play like that.
So at this time, I just want to remind you that it is an hour, almost an hour and a half.
Yeah, we should probably get going.
Yeah.
We should let you go. You have to work.
Yeah, I do. You're like you keep sucking me into a conversation, and
it's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
To you.
But I'm trying to I put my glasses on about a half an hour ago.
Right. This is the sign.
You said that, and your computer goes off.
It's because Fred sent me a picture. I don't know what picture Fred sent, but Fred sent me a picture. So,
okay.
So, anyway, I'm going to get moving.
So am I. So,
and you are going to get moving, and we are going to, and we're not going to get into this, Fred, because he just wants me to get going. You and I can talk about your picture offline. So,
yes. All right. Well, I will talk to you later. Have fun. I need to go see what I need to get for the pictures that I need to get done. And bye, everyone.
Yeah, we will see you all next week, and I will be doing all of these things, and we'll see you next. I will see all of you guys on Monday. I'll be working. I should have everything else, the last little bits of my computer settled in by next Monday. I only have a few more things on my to-do list.
And you have to take care of that Creatives Commons.
Yeah, exactly. So I've gotten off of Facebook, and that's going to help my creativity a lot.
All right.
See you later, Pepper.
See you later. Bye.
Have a good weekend. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.